doing today? How you doing today? So come on in. We are going to really have a good conversation today. Let's go. Wish from Master Brother Lewis from your Lodge number 3 AFNL, Memphis, Tennessee, under the most wishful Genesis Grand Lodge of Tennessee. Greetings to you. How you doing today? So look, this particular topic may or may not upset some of my good friends and brothers of Prince Hall, PHA. We have a relationship, so we talk often, but I think today's topic is going to be kind of touchy a little bit. And I say that, you know, like many of us, I went and purchased, I'm going to show you this book again. I went and purchased this book right here, right? I went and purchased this book right here. This is the book I went and purchased for my own validity, just to check some things out. And I know people like to talk about, you know, sources and where did this source come from? Where did that source come from? I would say that in reading this particular book, it gives great sources. It tells you where that information comes from. And I would tell anybody, go get it and you can look at it for yourself. And I have more questions than I have answers, although some things have been answered for me, and I'm cool with that. And let me clear the air. This is not to throw shade or to throw darts, but it's the question. It is the question like anybody else. I've been questioning regarding my lodge and how we was formed. I've had those questions, and I'm okay with it. Every Masonic Grand Lodge have been questioned. Black, that is. I'm only talking about Black Masonic Grand Lodges. Have been questioned in regards to their legitimacy of how they was organized. We've all gone through it. We've all heard it. And I'm okay with it. I'm perfectly okay with it. But in addition to reading what this book has to say, I have some questions. And my question is, Prince Hall affiliation is not Prince Hall Masonry. That's number one. I'm going to say this again. Prince Hall, PHA, as they call their Masonic Grand Lodges and everything, they are not Prince Hall Masons. I can say that based upon what I've been reading. And here's what I want you to do. Go look up the word affiliation. Go look up the word affiliation. It means closely related to, associated of. Go look at the word up. You don't have to take my opinion. Go look up the true definition of the word affiliation. That's all I'm asking you to do. Go look that up for yourself, and you can come back and ask your own questions. But after I've done my own digging, I began to ask, okay, when the Grand Lodges supposedly had left the National Grand Lodges, and they say they went and joined independent Grand Lodges or independent, where did they come from? Who chartered these independent Grand Lodges, these African-American independent Grand Lodges? Where did they come from? Who chartered them? Because if the story holds true, and we go down this rabbit hole, did that one charter of African Lodge charter all Black Grand Lodges at that time? And if we're going to hold to that, and we're going to go down that rabbit hole, can one lodge charter another lodge? I'm not saying it's never been done, because I know it has been done. But I'm talking specifically in regards to this situation right here. Because I've heard, yeah, you know, they left and they went and joined independent lodges. Well, where did these independent Grand Lodges or lodges come from? And who chartered them? Because certainly you have taken over, you have took the history of the national and made it your own. And when I say took, I mean you give the history of Prince Hall, those other 14 gentlemen, and how they got initiated in a British military lodge under John Batt, and then how he was in contact with the Grand Lodge of England, not the Grand Lodge of England, but the Premier Grand Lodge of England, which was a modern at that time, and then they was removed from roll, and then they was brought back. And then because they didn't have any connections and there was miscommunication, whatever that may look like, then they was totally disbanded from the roll of the Grand Lodge of England. And then there was the 2 letters that were sent. It was 2 letters, not 1, but 2 letters that went out. One was requesting the mere fact that they have that they practice the degrees of the York Rite Masons. I have both letters. And then one was declaring their independence. And then you have this formation of the National Grand Lodge. And after this National Grand Lodge is formed some years later, then there became a scrimmage. Upon that scrimmage, these lodges, these Grand Lodges that left, they were supposed to join independent lodges or Grand Lodges that was already out there that were not part of the National. My question would be, where did they come from? That's all, nothing more, nothing less. Because when I'm beginning to read, according to this book, those independent Grand Lodges or those independent lodges did not all join the National. Who chartered them? Do they have the same history? I'm just asking a question. Do they have the same history as Prince Hall? PH, not PHO, not PHA, but Prince Hall, period. Did they get their charter from African Grand Lodge, which was named by the National Grand Lodge? I'm just asking a question because this book answered a lot of questions, but then I had more questions because it says state Grand Lodges under the National Grand Lodge, independent Grand Lodges, PHA, after 1944. So they showed me the red and the blue dot, and then they showed me how they was connected. So in reading this book, PHA, as we know it today, didn't hit the streets until 1944. That's a fact. 1944. As a name, PHA. 1944. So when I look at that, I'm like, hold on. So PHO was still in operation, while these independent Grand Lodges, they had not yet connected themselves or formatted themselves into a conference of Grand Masters yet. Although before that, you still had the General Grand Masonic Congress still thriving at the time. 1944, the General Grand Masonic Congress was doing their thing. But yet, as I read, it seems to me that you have confiscated, that you're taking on the history of the National, but claimed it your own and says, we here. We Prince Hall. No, you're not. Not according to this book. You took the name and put affiliation on it. Look up the word affiliation. You are not Prince Hall. And I mean, I get it. I understand it. And I'm okay with it. I'm really okay with it. But you can't take a name and say, this is who we are, and those others over there are not. You can't do that. You can't do it. Even though you have done it, and then proclaim that the same people you come from are null and void. They don't exist. You know, you can't. You join an independent Grand Lodges. You join independent lodges and formatted Grand Lodges. Who were they? Where did they get their charter from? Because you say that. You say that. It's in your words, your history. And I'm like I said, I'm not trying to throw shade and do all that other stuff. What I'm saying is that when you throw stuff out there like that, somebody gonna go digging. Somebody gonna go looking. So I'm digging and I'm looking. I'm like, something is not adding up. You talk about everybody else's history. Oh, they're this and they're that. So now a lot of us are into yours. Let's pull back that onion. Let's look at it. That's all. If you're going to talk about somebody else's history, best believe there are people out there, and trust me, there are individuals out there who are digging. And this is what this book made me do. This book right here. This book right here made me go digging. And I learned in this book right here that PHA the old history, because they claim the national history for their own. You left the national, joined independent grand lodges, independent lodges, and proclaim we are PHA, Prince Hall affiliation. Look up the word affiliation. Look it up and tell me what the definition of affiliation means. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for you. So, as soon as this opens up, it says affiliation, the state or relation of being closely associated or affiliated with a particular person, group, or party. That's what the word affiliation means. And you didn't pop up until 1944? And you want to talk about other black Masonic lodges that's been around longer than your 1944? Although your grand lodges you proclaim may be older, but where did they get their particular structure and organization and charter from? Who chartered those grand lodges? And by the way, I know that grand lodges don't receive charters unless you're under the national. Grand lodges organize themselves accordingly to Masonic law if you choose to go that way, whether it's assembly, whether it's lodges from other grand lodges that come together and do that. But you must trace the history, right? And all I'm asking is, where did those independent grand lodges come from and how did they start? That's the only question I'm asking. I'm not trying to throw no darts. I'm asking questions because I want to know. I legitimately want to know. Because this book here is beginning to have me to ask more questions, although it has answered a lot of things for me. And this is where I'm at today. So, I mean, I read a lot of information, and this book here covers a lot of stuff. Like people say, I want primary sources. I want this source. This book gives you primary sources, second sources, and everything else. It does. And then even if you don't believe it, go back and research and see where they got the information from. And then you will begin to break that down for yourself. Not because I said it, not because go do it yourself, and you're going to come up with some questions, and you're going to have to start asking yourself these questions, what you finding. PHO 1847. And I'm going to take the O off of it. You know why? Because that's Prince Hall 1847. Period. And I know the O stands for Prince Hall origin, but they are truly Prince Hall. When you want to talk about the scheme of things, yes, W.D. Matthews and John G. Jones couldn't stand each other. Absolutely couldn't stand each other. I read those papers too. They didn't like each other. No, they did not. Even with that being said, my question remains, where did these independent grand lodges come from to organize the independent lodges? They say independent lodges, independent grand lodges. They make two distinctions. They said that the brothers, that was the grand lodge that was part of the national at that time, those left, they joined forces with independent lodges and grand lodges. The point I'm asking is, where did they come from? Where did they get their start at? That's my question. This book that I'm reading has said, you ask the question, because it's not giving me the answer. Some of you may know the answer. I don't know. It may be out there. Some of you may have books I don't have. You may have scholars I don't know anything about. But that is my question. Because in reading this, the conclusion that I've come up with right now, until I found more information, is that PHA has stolen the history of PHO just to make a distinction, because there is no other than Prince Hall, period. Not a PHA, but Prince Hall, period. The national is it. Plain and simple. And I'm not taking sides, whether it's Tyrone Montgomery or whether it's Brother Lewis. I'm not taking sides at all. I'm just saying the national as an organization, an entity, bar none. Plain and simple. So we can have this conversation. I'm willing to do that. Look at the dates of Prince Hall Grand Lodge's, PHO Grand Lodge's date, and it will show you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that where did these independent Grand Lodges come from? Because those that were part of the national that left, the Grand Lodges that left the national, joined independent lodges and Grand Lodges. Or some may say sovereign Grand Lodges. And I can say this, I have the history of Prince Hall Grand Lodge in California. I have that history. And they say the same thing, that they joined after they left the National Grand Lodge, they joined the Sovereign Grand Lodge of California. Where did they come from? Where did the Sovereign Grand Lodge of California come from? They said the Sovereign Grand Lodge of California and the Independent Grand Lodge of California joined together and organized PHA as we know it. They call it Prince Hall. Okay? Prince Hall affiliation, that's what they call it. So then in making that resolution, R.J. Fletcher was selected as first Grand Master. Period. But they don't mention, as far as I know of, and I may have to go back and look, they don't mention the Grand Master who was part of the Sovereign Grand Lodge of Colored Masons in California. They don't mention that name. But they give you the date that they supposed to have merged and became what we know today as Prince Hall or PHA. That's what we know them as today. They give the dates. They give the date of them coming together and everything, but they don't give the date. What they don't give is the name of the Grand Master. They only give one name, and that's R.J. Fletcher. And I'm talking about California. I can't speak for other states. I'm not there yet, but this book does. This book speaks for other states. This book speaks for other states. That's what it does. And so all I'm doing is asking the question. You know, and as I said, it is not to throw any darts at anybody, but based upon what I've read, I'm coming to my own conclusion until I find some more information. What we know today as PHA, you stole the history and you ran with it. Yes, the Grand Lodge of Boston, Massachusetts may have joined you, but that name was given to them by the National Grand Lodge. And that charter that you talk about so eloquently is great. I don't deny that. I'm not denying any of that. What I'm saying is that lodge, you know yourself, was dissolved in order to become part of the National. They needed 3 lodges in Boston. So they dissolved that lodge. 3 other lodges came up, merged, formulated that Grand Lodge out of Boston, Massachusetts. That name was given to them by the National Grand Lodge after the death of Prince Hall, the man himself. I mean, this is what I'm reading. This is from one of your historians. Period. When can I find many differences lodge calling themselves connected to Prince Hall? Or we can find many different lodges calling themselves connected to Prince Hall. It's not even about being recognized. That's not what this show is about today. It's really not about being recognized. It's about having a better understanding of what's been done. And what has been done is the mere fact that PHA, as we know it today, stole, and I'm going to say stole, the history from the National and then prompt themselves up as if we're the it factor. Everybody else is not, but we're it. And over the course of 70-some years, close to 80 years now, 1944 to 2025, over the course of 70-some odd years, close to 80 years, you will prompt yourselves up to be boom, boom, boom. We're it, and you are not it. You told people that the National closed down. The National didn't exist, and that wasn't true. The National continued to exist, although they may have not been as strong as they once were, but they existed. They've always maintained 10 to 12, 13 Grand Lodges along the way. Always. They may not have been as strong, but they was there. So you can't go and say, hey, we're it, when the original is still around. You can't do that. That's what I'm saying based upon what I'm reading. Like I tell anybody, I can agree to disagree. I won't be disrespectful or none of that. All I'm asking anyone else to do is go get that same book, read it, and we can come back and have this conversation. Because from what I'm reading, this book here gives you primaries. It gives you everything. And the more I dig, the more I read, the more questions I have. Nothing more, nothing less. Like I said, I'm not trying to throw shade and say, oh, Prince Hall, PHA is clandestine. I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to say that anything other than check the history for yourself. For yourself. Because according to this, it gives you a breakdown right here. It gives you a breakdown right here. And it tells you in red, state Grand Lodges under the National Grand Lodges. And it tells you where those was at. Then it says independent Grand Lodges, Prince Hall, 1944. That's what it says. So those independent Grand Lodges didn't organize themselves into a conference until 1944. But they're going out here telling everybody, we Prince Hall. No, you're not. You are an independent Grand Lodge that changed its name to Prince Hall. That's what you did. You were independent Grand Lodges. You changed your name to Prince Hall. You kept that history. You flipped it. And then you put out all the propaganda. The National Grand Lodge was still there. May have been weakened, but they were still there. So I'm just here today with those questions and just going through what I've read. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. UGLE, their story is events suspect to according to the book I came across. Look, let's be honest. The UGLE didn't change their mind in regards to PHA until recently. 30 years ago, they changed their mind, thereabouts. Because the Grand Lodge of Massachusetts, Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Massachusetts, kept writing. And finally, it was like, okay, what's your story? Let's hear it. Okay, well, all right, we're going to go with it from there. And that's what they did. And I'm okay with that. If that's what the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Massachusetts chose to do, more power to them. They proceeded to get their recognition and then conquer, or lack of a better word, they worked out a deal to where when state Grand Lodges recognize a Prince Hall Grand Lodge estate, then that Grand Lodge estate then can ask for recognition from the Grand Lodge of England. That's the deal that was brokered. Now, from what I understand, there are a couple of Grand Lodges for themselves that went straight to England and received that recognition. They didn't go through state Grand Lodges, only a couple. And the Grand Lodge of Massachusetts is one of them. So I'm just saying that when we think of like the brother, well, they recognize. All of them are not. And like I said, this is not to throw shade. I understand recognition and amity. I get it. But today we're talking about a stolen history. And I'm just questioning that because you didn't hit the streets until 1944 as a name, PHA, 1944. General Grandson of Congress, 1900. Prince Hall, National Grand Lodge, 1847. Now, we can go back and forth with semantics. It's okay. It's good and healthy. But we can't deny that something isn't right in the coffee. It's either too much cream or too much sugar. The coffee is no longer what it should be. It's no longer strong anymore. Grand Lodge of Massachusetts was one done through the Articles of Incorporation and recognized by the state legislators. I appreciate that. Prince Hall tradition, PHA tradition history doesn't start up to research. It's full of legends and forgery. One such myth is that PHA Grand Lodge of Massachusetts is the oldest, whereas the first Grand Lodge was in, well, yeah, that is true. That part is true. The first one was in Philly. That part is true. But the thing is, it is not to come here, as I said before, and just to try to bring somebody down. I'm not doing myself any justice to do that. What I'm saying is I'm questioning everything, and you should too. That's clearly what it is. Question everything. So you come out here and you're grander. We are this. You see, you look at me, and now, okay. Let me take a real look. And now there are people I know that are true historians, and they're really looking at it. Wait a minute. How did this? What did you do? You know, even John Harrison book, you know, even in his book, he shows that John Batt is the wishful master of African Lodge 459. It shows that the lodge was done through a military lodge. Now, if you know anything about military lodges was illegal. It was illegal for a military lodge to charter any other lodge. A lodge cannot receive a charter from a lodge. They can't. And we also know in according to many books, they said that when Boyer's Lodge wanted a charter, they sent them a copy of the charter from 459. This is where we're at. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. This is interesting. So now you got a lot of people questioning that history, that whole synopsis that you've been holding up for so long. Now you got a lot of people questioning, knocking on the door. Well, hold on. Where did this come from? And how did we get here? And where did this Grand Lodge come from? Oh, this is an independent lodge? Well, where did this independent lodge come from? Oh, you really gave a charter to the Boyer's Lodge? No, you didn't. That wasn't even at the convention. I'm just saying. So although you have championed yourself as the legitimate one, no, the legitimate one is PHO, Prince Hall Origin. The national is the legitimate one, period. And I'm not going to sit here and distinguish whether it's Brother Montgomery or whether it's Brother Lewis. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to say is the national is the legitimate one, period, because that's what I'm talking about. Can be question African Lodge became 459 on England Road. They did. However, once you proclaim to be independent or sovereign, once you have done that, once your name has been stricken from the roll, you no longer exist. That's a fact. Once your name has been stricken from a roll, it's no longer there. You're no longer accepted. And that's what happened when the national formed. When the national came together, they did that thing. It was 2 letters that were sent to England. One letter was asking them to send them a charter to practice the Royal Arch degree work. I have both letters. One letter declared their independence. Look up the word independence. United States should not be up under the British rule because we what? We're an independent nation. Came from where? British, England, the UK, the empire, right? Those 13 colonies spread it out to be 50 some states. They became sovereign and independent, wrote their own constitution, their own laws and rules and regulations that would govern it. They no longer are under the British rule, just as the national did. They separated themselves, said enough is enough. We've been practicing Mason for this long, so we're going to go on with it. We're going to roll with it. Whether it was right or wrong, they did that. My question today is, why you want to champion yourself to be a Prince Hall affiliation, knowing that gives you close connection with the national? That's what it does. It gives you close connection with the national, and you use the national history. You continue to use it today. Plain and simple. You continue to use it today. And I would imagine that's okay. That's all right. But you can't go around throwing rocks at everybody else, knowing that rocks are going to come back at you. Plain and simple. If I know if I'm going to go outside and throw some rocks at cars, they're going to stop, and sooner or later somebody's going to get out the car. And I may not like when they get out the car and what's going to happen. And this is where we are, and this is why we are where we're at today. Still having the same debates, same conversation of 150 some years ago. Because people, well, you ain't a real Mason. What? No, you didn't get your charter from England. What? Wait, hold on. I mean, this thing is going, I believe after I've passed away and gone off the scene, they're going to still have the same conversation because you're not intelligent enough to come to a table to have a decent and honorable discussion, to say, okay, here we are. What are we going to do? You mean to tell me our leaders, who we call to be leaders and these grand masters, are not capable of coming to the table and having a decent and orderly conversation and calling a truce of some sort amongst the African diaspora of Freemasonry? You mean to tell me we can't do that? Because now we're at each other and question each other's history, but we won't do that for the other people. We won't do that. Why we won't question their history? Why we won't question their legitimacy? Why we won't question what they're doing and how they're doing it? Why we're so afraid? And when I say we, I'm speaking specifically to the Black diaspora of Freemasonry. Plain and simple. You're so cowardly. I mean, yeah, I'm just breaking it down, giving it to you like, oh, you're jealous, man. You're jealous because we have recognition with England. You're just jealous that we can travel and go to other. No. I'm going to say this. Before I will, this has nothing, let me clear the air. This has nothing to do with my Grand Lodge at all. The words that are coming out of my mouth right now is strictly for me. All right. So if anybody go back and watch this, don't be bringing my Grand Lodge into something I'm saying specifically for me. Before I work with anybody else or give anybody else any credit about anything, I'm going to work with me and those who look like me and those in my community first and foremost. And then anything after that is icing on the cake. Plain and simple. No disrespect to nobody else. But I'm looking at raising those around me up. I'm looking at giving them their footstool. I'm looking at giving them their step up before I do that for anybody else. That's me. That's who I am. And I'm not taking it back. I'm standing on that. Somebody, well, yeah, I've been hurt. I've been hurt by those who look like me. And what? Am I supposed to stop now? Am I supposed to say, well, he hurt me, I'm not going to work with him anymore? No, I'm not going to do that. It happened. I move on. I work with those who want to work with me. Period. That's how I operate, because I've seen too many times where other Masonic jurisdictions outside of the Black diaspora tend to pull together and get some things done that's going to benefit them. Hear me clearly. Those Grand Lodges or Masonic organizations or conferences outside of the Black diaspora of Freemasonry somehow tend to pull together and work for the benefit of them. And then they deal with other people. Prime example, the Grand Lodge of California does not recognize the Grand Lodge of Tennessee. Did they kick them out of the Conference of Grand Master of North America? No, they did not. It's a bigger picture. But what did you do with Slaughter? You kicked him out of the Prince Hall Conference of Grand Masters. You was like, nah, you got to go. Not understanding the bigger picture. You couldn't see that. But the Conference of Grand Masters for North America, when those Grand Lodges have their dispute, they made several ties and say we don't have mutual recognition. But the bigger picture is, I'll see you next year at the Grand Masters Conference. And we may not even speak. But there's a bigger picture at play. If somehow we who are Black Masons, with the majority of Black Grand Lodges, can't pull that off, you can't pull it off. I'm just putting out, you mean to tell me that we are not intelligent enough to come to the table and rectify and pull together and leave this organization in a much better place than when we found it for generations to come? To say that we do respect each other, sovereignty, and Masonic affiliate, we respect that. We can't come to the table and say that. We can't do it. And this is why we question ourselves. This is why we're in the shape that we're in now, because we can't do it. And no, I'm going to change that. It's not that we can't do it. We don't want to do it. We don't want to do it. Because we was here first, and I think that we should. No, if we all come together at the table and say, okay, we're here now. This is who you are. This is who you are. This is who I am. Okay, that's who you are. But here's what we have to do. It ain't even complicated. It's only complicated for those who make it complicated. But for those of us who can see beyond that, this is small. It is very, very small. Yes, boss, it is a scam. So that's man, when I'm just saying it. I'm going to say this. You will be amazed of what takes place in state Grand Lodges. And when I say that is to say that state Grand Lodges, I want to make sure I word this correctly. They deal with individuals and Masons that Prince Hall, you would deem to be clandestine or bogus. I'm telling you what I know, not what I'm assuming. I'm telling you exactly what I know. And some of you may already have figured it out. I'm going to say this again. White Grand Lodges, majority of white Grand Lodges, and I say that because of their membership, they deal with other Masonic Grand Lodges or Masons who are not recognized by Prince Hall. They deal with them. They may not tell you, but they deal with them. They have conversations with them. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I know because I spoke with someone today. Plain and simple. You have to be in the room. And a lot of us are not in the room. I ain't set the table, I say in the room. I have a book right now that was published by the Grand Lodge of California some years ago when we did a program together. It's called Constitution. And it lists my name along with St. Peter's Grand Lodge of California, along with some of the other brothers from different Grand Lodges, as far as participating, as far as who they are. They was like, okay, come on, let's see if we can pull this off together. I have that book. It's interesting. I'm just saying that sometimes you have to be able to settle down, take a breath, and be able to navigate a system that doesn't want you to even come together to benefit your own community. And this is why I'm questioning the very thing of PHA. Because you stole some history. Call it your own. And then the people you took it from, and I say took it, you're the it factor now. And that's not right. That is totally not right. Plain and simple. Because your Grand Lodge wasn't called Prince Hall Grand Lodge. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was the National Grand Lodge. And you had different names under the National Grand Lodge. You did. You were colored Masons. Independent Grand Lodges. Wasn't Prince Hall. And then when you left, and you understood, hey, we need something to say how we got here. Oh, well, we came from the National, and we are more legitimate in the National because they closed, but they didn't really close. People just wasn't shopping there, but they were still there. Just like today, people don't necessarily shop at the mortar and brick stores anymore. You can still go and find a Payless shoe store online, still buying shoes. I'm just using them as an example. I haven't muted anyone. The National Grand Lodge was one that gave Massachusetts it was, and I said that. I said it was. But that was after his death in the honor of the man. I get that. I have no qualms with that at all. None. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying today is that the history was stolen. You can't tell me that the National closed and now we're reading a variety of books that proclaim that they never closed with first, second, primary sources, whatever you want to call it. We're reading it now and saying, oh, they never shut down. So how are you Prince Hall? Oh, because we are affiliated. That means we are associated with the National when the National is still here. I'm just questioning it. That's nothing more, nothing. I'm just giving some. I'm trying to navigate these waters because history is, and when you're looking at history, there's some things you're just not going to know or find out. Maybe it's in somebody's basement. Maybe it's been thrown away because when brothers pass, the family just sometimes throw stuff away. Plain and simple. Sometimes things are found in the attics of homes that has been abandoned, and you find that little piece that may add to it or take away from. We decided to leave the National. I have no qualms with that you decided to leave the National, but the National still existed. And you didn't change your name to PHA until what, 1944. That's the thing. What was your name before that? It wasn't Prince Hall. PHA. It wasn't that. It wasn't that until 1944. So what was the name before that? Victors get to tell the story. No, you're not the victors. If I'm still in existence and I'm still growing and I'm still existing and I'm still making rules and regulations to govern my jurisdiction, it's not over. The battle isn't over. And this is why this information is coming out right now. The battle isn't over. It isn't over. So this is where we're at, you know, because I like I say, I tell anybody, you know what, if you don't think I'm giving you information or whatever that may look like, go read it for yourself. Man, there's so many different books out here on masonry, on John G. Jones, on a whole lot of different people. I mean, you're going to make up your own mind. I'm not here to convince you left or right. I'm not. I just want you to go do it yourself. Period. And then you come back. We may be able to have a decent and orderly conversation. Agree to disagree. And poof, be gone. There's no love lost in having a conversation. None at all. Unless we put it that way, unless we make it that way. And once it's that way, then it is what it is. You don't build anything on that. You don't. You don't build anything because you think that you're right and the next person is wrong. When you're looking and reading in different books that's giving you different perspectives. You have to come and you have to come to your own conclusion. Please don't be disrespectful in the chat. Your message will be held. Once again, please don't be disrespectful in the chat. It will be withheld. Say, go away and I will stop. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's all good. But, you know, with that being said, we have to be able to think for ourselves. And a lot of us don't want to think for ourselves. And I'll tell you this, my cable toe, me as a Mason, it extends to all brothers of the craft. I'm not selective about it. I'm going to say that again. My cable toe. And what I'm able to do or assist the brother, that's to all brothers of the craft. It is not selective until I found him or them as worthy as I am. And then it's selective then based upon what I know about you as an individual, not your organization, but you as an individual. That's me. Now, I don't know how you determine or lend. I know most people say, well, I would just give a hand to any person, any human being. And that's beautiful. That's great. And I think most of us would too. I think many of us would. However, in addition to, when you look at the bigger scheme of things, when I took upon myself the OB, it was to all. It wasn't just selective. It was to all. That's how we do it here. The book I'm getting my information from is here. That's the book. I have another book I'm gonna share with you. Just a second. Here's another book. This book right here. I get a lot of my information from this book right here. I got this book and I started going through it, and I'm like, okay, so how are we going to break this down? You know, and it gives a detailed history in regards to African American masonry, you know. So that is what this book does. So I have two books that I really rely on because of its primary sources. And it tells you where it got it from. Yes, it is Roundtree. You know, he has a couple other books out there too. But for me right now, I wanted this book and I got it. You know, it was a gift. And as I crack it open and read it, it is crazy. And that's why I tell anybody, go get it. And so I would say this. I'm going to read this from this book right here. Okay. It says, John Sherman stated the following: the official 1877-1878 proceedings of the Colored Grand Lodge of Ohio proved conclusively that the National Grand Lodge was not dissolved in 1877, but was very active, alive and active. After the triennial session of the National Grand Lodge in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that was the 16th to the 18th of May, 1877. It addressed a letter to all colored Grand Lodges in the United States. And by the way, when the National named the Grand Lodge of Massachusetts, Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Massachusetts, all other Grand Lodges were considered colored Grand Lodges, or what we call state Grand Lodges. They were colored Grand Lodges of state. That's what they were, okay? Working under the National, all right? And then it says, Pennsylvania, 16th to the 18th, May 1877, it addressed a letter to all colored Grand Lodges in the United States, both the state Grand Lodges under the National Grand Lodges and state right or independent colored Grand Lodges. That's my question. Where did they come from? That was my question. And then it says, the letter now mostly called Prince Hall Grand Lodges. The latter is now called Prince Hall Grand Lodges. Invited them to send delegates to the National Convention to be held in Wilmington, Delaware, May 1878, for the purpose of discussing, if possible, settling the differences between the national and state right fractions. A copy of the letter is printed in 1877 Proceedings of the Colored Grand Lodge of Ohio, now the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Ohio. This Grand Lodge was represented at the National of May 1877, Wilmington, Delaware, and yet Prince Hall counselors recorded that the last triennial session of the compact was held in 1874, at which only 14 persons were present, and that in 1877, a mere handful of leaders attended and adopted a resolution dissolving the National Grand Lodge. The newspaper did not, however, print the account of both the 1877 and 1888 session in Pittsburgh Commercial Gazette. That's the 18th of May, 1877. In the evening in Wilmington, Delaware, May the 13th, 1880. And then it tells you about the meeting was mentioned in Tennessee Proceedings in 1884. So almost 10 years later, you're hearing the proceedings. You know, so when we get through this, man, this book is gonna actually have you to have more questions than answers. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. But both of these books are great books to have for your archives if you're interested. And this book here is by Christopher L.G. Tave. Christopher Tave. Okay? Christopher L.G. Tave out of Houston wrote this particular book. It has a lot of detailed information in it. I like it. It goes, man. It really breaks down a whole lot of things and gives you a different perspective on so much. So, hey, it is what it is. I'm just going to tread through the comments real quick. They were to meet in DC in sense due to National Grand Lodge. Okay, you said Matthews didn't keep up his part of the deal. Now I know what the book says. What do you say that he did not keep up with? Come on, I got to go back. The National Grand Lodge and Prince Hall Freemasonry, The Untold Truth. That's the name of the book. Appreciate that, Marcus. Now, all were under the National Grand Lodge. That is true. Coming out of the shadows. I've heard that's a good book. I think I have that book. No, that's the Black Compass and Square. I'm going to have to get that one, Coming Out of the Shadows. William D. Matthews did not keep up his part of the deal. Somebody need to tell me what was his part of the deal. What was his part of the deal that he did not keep up with? I'm just scrolling through the I know Roundtree. I have him on speed dial. Give him a call. If you know him, give him a call. Hey, just call him up. The name of the book, brother, Dietrich, the name of the book is The National Grand Lodge, Prince Hall Affiliation Mason, The Untold Truth. That is the name of the book. If anyone want to call in, I still have some time left. That number is 619-286-0642. If you want to call in, you're certainly welcome to do so. Once again, if you want to call in, that number is 619-286-0642. You're certainly welcome to call in. And we can have this conversation regarding this book and regarding the fact that you said that Matthews did not hold up to his end of the bargain. And I'd like to know, what is that? What was he supposed to do? What was his end of the bargain? I'm willing to listen and find out more. Because you know what? I'm not going to sit here and say I know it all. But what I am going to say is what I know, have me to question that and just some other things. Plain and simple. I know a lot of us who are here, you know, we question it, but we don't, but that's about it. That's as far as we're going to go with it. That's as far as we're going to go with it. But I'm willing to take it a little step farther. I want to know a little bit more. Because what I'm seeing now is that there's a lot that's been said and a lot that is missing. A lot of it. And so that's what I come across. You don't leave and become PHA. You don't take PHO with you. No brother gets it left behind. Yep. Appreciate it, Alex. Hey, I had a course pop up in my room and the doors and the windows. Do you know what that could mean? Oh, you had oh man, that's something else I had to get into. That is a whole another conversation. The National was not a regular body. If you're going to tell me that the National Grand Lodge is a irregular body, you need to tell me that the Grand Lodge of England is an irregular body also. And here's the contrast between both of them. The National Grand Lodge is actually structured after the Grand Lodge of England. The Grand Lodge of England is made up of many Grand Lodges. They have pavilion Grand Masters that is designated by the sitting Grand Master. Just as the National Grand Master, he has the power to deem and to open Grand Lodges in various states because they are what they consider to be pavilion Grand Masters, just as the National, just as that of the the Grand Lodge of England. Go look up the Grand Lodge of England structure. Look at how many Grand Lodges make up the Grand Lodge of England. When it says the Grand Lodge of England, it is not talking about one Grand Lodge. It is multiple Grand Lodges. Go look at it. Plain and simple. I've had visions of before our life. That would be a whole nother thing. So just don't call masonry. Just don't call it masonry. I tell you what, if you think it's a lie, go look up how many Grand Lodges make up the Grand Lodge of England. Go look it up for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. If you Google the Grand Lodge of England, you can look at how many Grand Lodges there are in England that makes up that one body, just as the national. Okay, the UGLE have district Grand Masters. District or pavilion Grand Masters, the same thing. He's a Grand Master over a district, right? So how many districts does it have? Because it says the Grand Lodge of England, there are multiple districts, Grand Lodges, right? With one singular Grand Master that rules over them all. I'm just saying. Nope, I can take a pic of one that's still there. Now, Orbs, ORBS, Melody, that's a whole nother conversation. Well, if it's so ridiculous, you can call in. Just give a call in. If it's so ridiculous, just call in. What's going on, Spirit of Justice? Let me see. Yeah, that's true. It is. It's no different in the Grand Orient. Yeah, that part. So if you want to call in and have that conversation, you're certainly welcome to do so. And we can have a decent and orderly conversation. That number again is going to be 619-286-0642. There you go. You got the number right there. Just check it out. It's going to pop up in the chat. Check that number out and tell me what you think. There are two Grand Lodges in England that claim to be the main Grand Lodge of England. And it's several Grand Lodges that make up the Grand Lodge, the UGLE, where there was a Grand Lodge in the north and one in the south. That is what I've read. Now, if you got something different, I'm okay with that. I'll read that too, and I'll go from there. But yeah, there were two different Grand Lodges, the Premier Grand Lodge, and one was the Modern. Okay, or what they call the Ancient and the Modern, if that's what you're talking about. I could be wrong. Hey, greetings to you. Greetings to you. I hope everything is going well with you and your degree work. Continue the journey. Definitely continue the journey. Absolutely. So tonight, before I get ready to go, I just want to let everybody know this conversation is in regards to what I would call the stolen history. And when I say that, I'm looking at PHA, PHO. What does the word affiliation mean? Because you are not it. You are not it. Oh, don't call and hang up. Come on now. Don't call and hang up. No, you can call back and we can have the conversation. The number's in the chat if you want to call in. Absolutely. And like I said, this is not to say that I know everything. I'm not saying that. I'm just giving you what I've read, and I suspect for you to go do the same thing and come up with your own opinion about what you read. Because it's yours. Based upon the information that you have before you, this is the conclusion I've come to. And we're not going to all come to the same conclusion having the same information. We can agree to disagree and go on about our business. That, I mean, isn't that what people do respectively? Greetings.
Greetings, Brother Tony Hogan.
This is who am I talking with?
This is Brother Lewis from Memphis, Tennessee, or Lodge number 3, Ancient Free and Accepted Mason.
Greetings. You sound a little chattery, but go right ahead.
Okay. I was just speaking. I was watching your live video, and I kind of think that based off of Prince Hall, or the brothers that's within it, they kind of their own dialect to the whole situation, and that's not the situation. We all know it. That Prince Hall, he was PHA, and that's where the origin came from. You can't dismiss one origin without, transition to the next. So it's kind of like, he just kind of created his own dialect and left all the other brothers behind, and that's not how it was supposed to be. I feel like, a PHO brother is a PHA brother. That's how I look at it, just to be honest.
Oh, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. What you said, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I agree. I can agree with that, because what you're saying is no matter what, I'm going to show dignity and respect to both of them.
Right.
Because both of them hold the same history.
Exactly. So it comes from the same origin. Just because you got recognition from the Grand Lodge of England, it really doesn't mean anything, because regardless if you deem the organization clandestine, or if you say you're legitimate, regardless, you still go up under the Prince Hall banner.
Mm-hmm. So
basically, you're two of the same organization.
You are, but how can I speak ill of my brother when we have the same mother?
Right. Exactly.
And so, in like manner, that's why I continue to go back and I look at stuff and I read stuff, and I'm like, something just isn't right here.
Well, when you go back to the history of Freemasonry, we never literally, legitimately met up or claimed a specific territory or anything like that. We all met up on high heels, low heels, and in a tavern or something like that. So how can a Grand Lodge come about and say that they own the entire organization, or deem you illegitimate, to where the organization was never built on that construct? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I do. And I'm going to add to what you just said. When someone wants to put a bad light on you, although you've done nothing wrong, but they want to put that on you, they would have that type of propaganda to do that.
Exactly.
That's all. It's what it is. This is what I'm going to say about you, so people can see me. Oh, you're the one. Yeah, I'm the one. But that guy over there, he's nothing. Don't even worry about him, and don't even trip. He's no. But he's saying that he's a Mason too. Oh, don't pay him no. Never mind. How can
you even take that point of opinion when back then white Masons didn't consider black Masons to be Masons at all? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
How the whole thing of PHA and PHO came along anyway, because PHO was considered a black organization, and they got recognition from a white organization, but yet they were still Masons before that even came about. You know what I'm saying? Like and then that's not even their history. You know what I'm saying? Before even Masonry, let's not even just put Masonry into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really an African culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that has nothing to do with. I wouldn't say it doesn't have anything to do with Masonry. It has a lot to do with Masonry, but yet the people of Masonry was considered as African origin as we are.
Mm. Absolutely, yeah.
Say that you own something that you don't even fit the criteria of. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
that's crazy.
You're not going to get that argument out of me. What you're going to get out of me is basically a construct of saying, look, somewhere along the line, you're going to have to stop. We're going to have to stop. Somewhere along the line, somebody got to say, look, this is not benefiting either one of us.
Right.
It's not. And it's truth.
But it's a sad thing, because it's just like in society, just society, period. You know, black people get put in high places and they shoot down their own people, and that's really sad to me, because I feel like we should build each other up instead of tearing each other down. You know what I'm saying?
We should, but
that's just unexcludable. You know what I'm saying? Like, we should be. Right now, at this point, it's not black against black or anything. It's white against black, and I ain't gonna even say it's white against black, because it just depends on what you can become whatever you want to be and do whatever you want to do in life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think people just don't apply themselves enough. Just like with Masonry, you can
keyword.
You want
keyword. Let me go back.
Knowledgeable as a Mason if you didn't apply yourself, because it's information within Masonry that you got to seek and find, and it's not going to be handed to you.
Keyword you said, apply.
Exactly.
That's a key word. I want to send the brother from the Grand Lodge All of England in York. Greetings to you. I hope, Brother Glenn, what's going on with you? Greetings to you. Yeah, so this is the thing. When you consider and when you look at it, the history itself is so muddied up. It is what it is. It's muddied up. But until those who are in some type of leadership decide to have a seat at the table to be able to rectify and to solidify of an agreement of some sort, a better understanding of the craft, this is what we're going to always have, always deal with. And I'll tell you that there are people out here who likes that. There are people who like to see other people divided, instead of those who are divided coming together and say, you know what, I don't agree with you, but you know, we good. We can work together. We can do some stuff. We can, whatever that looks like.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
You know, and I believe when we get to that mindset, when we get there, we'll be better off. And I say that because of my journeys in Masonry. And I say that because I have traveled outside of the United States and visited. I've done those things. And the more I do them, the more my whole the more I'm like, what the hell are they doing in America? I ain't lying. I be like, man, what's really going on? What's really happening? You mean to tell me I can go from here to Albania, or I can go over here to Chile or Italy, and I'm welcome? I'm like, hey, Brother Tony, you know, blah, blah, I'm welcome. And then here, I got to deal with this?
Right.
Where's this coming from?
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't make any sense, man, because just me, myself, and you know, I'm a traveling man for sure, but I'm a truck driver as well. So I travel from state to state, and I've never had a problem with any brother regardless of their PHA, PHO, PHI. I travel from state every day.
Right.
I've never had that problem at all.
But you know what?
My brother ever asked me, oh, are you 3-letter, 4-letter? Are you, you know, PHO, PHI. They never asked me that situation. They never
And
asked me that question.
I'm gonna add to that. You probably won't get that because I'm gonna say this. It is not that everybody is doing it, but it's been going on for so long. It's like the fires here in California. You know, we deal with them all. We know that there are people out there setting fires. This is nothing new, you know. And then there's a possibility that a electrical fire can happen. We got that too. But the more fires happen and the way they happen, they become very suspicious of people starting fires, just as it is in the craft. Just like you say, you travel, you drive, you never get that, but you get it in other places, in the areas that may not necessarily be where you're at. Right? Even here, there are people that will pop up and say certain things and dib dab out and they'll come back, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm telling you, man, I've never really ever had that problem at all. I'm talking about, I done been to Washington, D.C., Virginia, Pennsylvania. I done been numerous places all around the world, and I've never had, regardless if they're white, black, African, Hispanic, I don't care. It doesn't matter. A brother is a brother at the end of the day.
But that's the beauty of being able to actually travel. That's the beauty of it all. That's the beauty. Now, on my next podcast coming up, on my next thing coming up, I have a female Mason that's going to be coming up. And a lot of people may frown upon it, but I don't care. I want to hear her side of the story. I want to hear what she got to say. I want to hear what she's going to bring to it. And she's a well-known female Mason. I'm not going to give her name up. I'm going to let her introduce herself. And she's going to be coming up tomorrow. I'm coming back tomorrow, and I'm bringing up a special guest. She's a past Wishful Master in a female lodge. It's a co-ed lodge, as a matter of fact. And we're going to have that conversation regarding female masonry, because that's another lie that's been told. There's no such thing as a female Mason. You leave this country, you'll be shocked. Repeat that.
Is she based out of? Is she in the United States?
She's in the United States.
Oh wow. Okay.
She's in the United States. Look, there are, and I'm changing the subject a little bit, getting off the original topic. However, there are several female Grand Lodges here in the United States, just as it is over in England, where you have the Female Grand Lodge of England. And the Female Grand Lodge of England and the Grand Lodge of England, they work together. Plain and simple. You don't see them over there talking about, I can't work with you. I can't. No, it's a bigger picture at play.
Exactly, because originally they would be considered irregular, but they're considered legitimate.
Correct, and that is how the Grand Lodge of England, from what I've read from their website, they say, well, you know what? They started off saying that. I don't know what they're saying right now. I got to go back and read. But in the beginning, they would say the female Grand Lodge or the female Masons are irregular, but their work is regular. How can my work be regular, but I'm irregular? I'm irregular because I'm a female and I'm doing this and I'm practicing Freemasonry, which is a philosophy.
And that also doesn't fit the constitutions of their lives.
There you go. You said that right there.
That's the biggest throw off to me, honestly. It doesn't fit the origin or the Constitution at all.
I'm trying. I can't. That name looks familiar. The gentleman down there asked me, have I been in contact with that with this particular Grand Masters, this female? And I'm saying the name looks familiar. However, if she's in California, I probably spoken with her. I'm not sure where she's at. Astra Kiwis. I'm not going to sit here and say I have. Yes, they are initiating the same as we are ritualistically, except that there are no there are no exposure. There are no TD exposure. Lack of a better word. Yeah, absolutely. They do. They do. You know, somebody asked me on here a while ago, would I admit a female Mason? Will I admit a female Mason in my lodge? If it doesn't go against my constitution and the Grand Lodge bylaws, she's welcome, but it goes against it. However, read your obligation and see what it says. Read your obligation. If it's anything like mine, I can tell you what it says towards the end. I don't have to repeat it here, although I've done that before. But read it, and you tell me what does it say. And then you make up your own mind. That's what I tell anybody to do. So greetings, everybody who's just coming on. I hope that you're doing well. What's going on, Bruce? How you holding up today? Blue Magic. Not Blue Magic. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why. It'll come back to me later. But yeah, bro, I appreciate you calling in, man. And I hope everything goes well with you. Give your Grand Lodge a shout out. What lodge you from?
I'm from Or Lodge number 3, Ancient Free and Accepted Masons out of Genesis Grand Lodge of Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee.
You know what?
I think you actually made a visit up here once.
I did. I was just going to say that.
Brother Alex Frierson.
Yeah. A brother of mine, his sister is a member of that Grand Chapter, and they sent us an invite some years ago, and we put a picture in the Souvenir Journal that you had. Now you got an interesting history.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Your history is because Prince Hall Grand Lodge was part of Genesis. Am I right or wrong?
Exactly.
And from what I gather, now this is what I know. You can correct me because you are there. Genesis Grand Lodge is older than Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Tennessee.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
I'm just saying.
They constructed 3 Grand Lodges and became a grand body and seek recognition from the Supreme Grand Council. So yeah, it's definitely older than
Oh yeah, I mean, just from that's what I've read. Now talking with you now is confirmed because you are a member there.
Yes, I'm actually the worshipful master of Or Lodge number 3, but I think we have Timothy Hanks as our grand master.
Okay.
Hanks is a grand master. So yeah.
Hey, do me a favor before you go. Make sure you give him my regards. If you ever speak to him or see him, just say, hey, you know what? I spoke with the brother out of California. Told me to tell you hello.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Most definitely.
All right.
Definitely.
Hey, thanks for calling in.
No problem, man. I appreciate you.
All right. Later.
All right. So much.
So with that being said, King of Kings. Is that the King of Kings out of Jersey? Is that the King of Kings out of Jersey? Before I answer that question. Greetings. Hello.
Grandmaster Hawk.
Hey, what's going on?
And this is Point Blank. How you doing today?
Point blank, I thought you was out driving trucks today.
I am driving, but I heard some disturbing Point Blank history going on, and I need to make it clear of. PHA do not come directly from the national. PHA, Point Blank, they came together with compact lodge, which is AF and AM. PHO came out of the national. PHA today would be called, what would they be called?
State Grand Lodges.
Yeah, state Grand Lodges, but they wouldn't even be state Grand Lodges. They would be Point Blank, what they called when they was on their own.
Independent or sovereign?
Independent.
Okay.
Independent Grand Lodges and compact Grand Lodges, which was from the Congress, came together and formed what you call PHA today. That is the correct history. If you don't know the history, stop spilling beans on wrong history. got a brother from PHA named Big Boogie. Point blank, we are going to do a historian, point blank, from the National Grand Lodge, and we going to tell the story from the beginning, the 10 years that was missing, all the way up to today.
Okay.
We need everybody to get their history right. Stop telling the wrong history.
Well, you know what? In addition to that, because what is happening, when I said this earlier, the water has gotten so muddied.
Well, guess what? It's not muddied no more.
Okay.
Because point blank, we got actual paperwork.
What, you put some bleach in the water, cleaning it up?
We're not doing that muddy no more. We done cleared up the water.
Okay.
We done cleared up the water. We know where every Grand Lodge, every lodge come out of. We know every split because we done put it all together. That is over with. So if you out here point blank trying to say you this and that, oh, you better be know we got the document.
Mm.
We know where you came from. Every lodge. And the point blank thing is, yes, everybody do come out of the national. They do. Even PHA. But they came from point blank John G. Jones. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it.
Oh my.
Yes, PHA would have came from John G. Jones and independent lodges. Because the compact lodges was up under John G. Jones. And John G. Jones made them compact lodges.
Then this is gonna be interesting. I'm gonna be honest with you. What you bringing up? I'm just. It's gonna be interesting.
AF and AM was made during the national on the 27th. We have documents, but John G. Jones didn't come until later on.
Now I'm gonna tell you that's gonna be interesting. I don't have those documents. I can't comment on something I don't have, but that's gonna be interesting.
So we are gonna do a history class on the national, and we gonna cover all the lies that was up.
Okay. Hey, I'm gonna sit back and watch.
But the thing is, like I said, it's gonna be interesting this year.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting this year.
The thing is, I'm gonna be real with you. The thing is, in the United States, we have to understand this, and we can't go past this. In the United States, certain things were set. And we understand, quite blank, you can't really find no Eastern Star chapters in other lands other than the United States. The Eastern Star was made here in the United States.
That's true.
It was not made across the water. That's why they get to have female masons. But over here, point blank, in the United States, we made the Eastern Star for our counterparts, which is women.
Wait a minute. When you say we, who are we?
America.
Oh, okay.
Masons, point blank, made Eastern Stars. Point blank, that was the women's fraternity over here. So when you go across the water, they don't have such. Just like they don't have a shrine. Shrine was made over here in America. So we got to get that right. We got to understand why they got female masons over there and why it's not here in America.
Okay.
We got to get the history right. We can't be going against laws. I understand point blank. Yeah, England should be able to dictate, but they set the precedent. Now, did we have that chance back then to do that? Yes, I think we did. But that's our fault as colored Masons. That's our fault. And we got to take accountability for what we messed up at. Because I hear everybody saying, yes, this belongs to us. But you let somebody point blank set president on what you saying that's yours. And that's just what it is.
All righty. Y'all heard it.
Hey, the early bird get the worm, right?
Well, that's what they say.
So if you're the first to do it, who can come behind you and say, no, we change it? They can't change it.
They can add to it.
In order for you,
they can add to it.
Just like this government.
They can add to it.
You to come in.
Hey, point blank.
What's up?
They can add to it or make an amendment to it.
Yes, they can. But in order for you to come and change the government, that means everybody got to get in and change the government. The government just ain't going to change just because, point blank, we want it to. No, it takes people getting in, changing the government. I'm going to
agree. Hold on. I'm going to agree with someone just posted in here. He let me see. Okay, I see what it wrote. I think it's Buck. I agree with you. I see you. Nobody else can see what you posted, but I can see it. And I'm going to stay with you. I agree with that. I agree with you 100%. And I can't read it because it ain't on your, no, you live now. I'm on the phone. No, you couldn't read it anyway because it's hidden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to read it.
Can you read it out?
No, I can't. He had a couple of cuss words in there. Well, I can read it out. He said, he said, I'm going to go back and read exactly what he said. He said this. Y'all need to stop kissing Europe, period. Capital A, hockey sticks. That's what he said. And I agree. You know how I feel about it.
But, bro, you need to go tell point blank your agent that used to be here, because they was the first one to kiss Europe's ass.
Let's see.
I said it first. Now, the thing is, it's all about taking accountability.
What's up, Dietrich?
No, I don't care which way you try to shape it, which way you try to do it. The thing is, just like Europe did theirs, the Grand Lodge of England, guess what? The National still is rolling right now. At point blank, they said in they sentiment that they have rights to all land in the United States. So the thing is, you can point blank tell UGLE to kiss your double hockey stick, but you need to tell your ancestors the same thing. But I guarantee you won't do that with you. Because you got to remember, Prince Hall is the main one that wrote England. So you going to tell Prince Hall to kiss your double hockey stick?
There's some you're leaving out. It wasn't he who wrote England, because there was two Grand Lodges at the time. So one was the premier Grand Lodge of England, and then there was the one, the Northern Grand Lodge of England, ancient and the moderates. Okay, let me put it that way. So he wrote the moderates. All right. Now this is according to what's the letter that I got, because I got both letters. All right. So one was, huh?
I said,
So one was written to the moderates, from which they was like, okay, so this is you, blah, blah, blah. And then, as we know of, after his death, those Grand Lodges, or during the time he was still living, those Grand Lodges combined became the Grand Lodge of England. And then the number of African lodges was switched over to 359 or something like that, or 459. But however, during that switch, with no communications, they was then severed from the role of what we know today as the United Grand Lodge of England.
But they together now, right?
Yeah, they're together now.
So the thing is, he still wrote England. So therefore, he need to tell Prince Hall to kiss his double hockey stick. Because if it wasn't for Prince Hall, good sir, you wouldn't be practicing masonry.
I'm going to agree to disagree with that, only because of those other Masons that was African. They were African descent, practicing masonry, but not here in the United States at the time.
But we're talking about the United States. See, that's the stuff I want to leave out.
Okay.
I don't care what happened.
Okay.
What, like in England, I don't care what happened. What black Masons we had over in Africa. I'm talking about the United States.
Okay.
So therefore, if it wasn't for Prince Hall, he needs to go tell Prince Hall and piss on his grave and say, hey, guess what? We don't give a damn about you. That's what he needs to do. Since he feel that way about England, because Prince Hall wrote England.
What he's saying is, hold on, time out. Let's time out for a minute. The reason that I'm getting that he's saying that is because usually when black folks are trying to work out their differences, they rely on the outside, the source, to declare whether whether what they're doing is right or wrong. So if I have an issue with you, and it's between me and you, but we got to go and consult Mr. Banks down the road to see who's right or who's wrong, instead of us deciding for ourselves to say, okay, I can agree to disagree. Let's shake hands and be done with it. That's what he's saying. Stop bringing someone else in to dictate to you.
Okay, I go with that, Hawkins. But guess what? Now I'm going to go and hit him across the chin. What happened to the National? How many of y'all point blank went against the National and tried to bring you down? You want to guess? I'm talking about the one that's talking about tell the students hockey stickers to go to hell. I want to talk to him.
He's probably listening. Go ahead.
You came point blank from the National, sir. You went against the National. Every last one of your lodges went against the National. Every last one. And this when they was trying to be secluded from England. You don't want to go down that road, me good sir.
Well,
no.
I would say this: when you declare independence, and I know there's tons of information out here, but when you declare independence, you have to look at what the word means. What is that all about? When you say I am independent, what does that mean?
That means I no longer have an overseer or a person can dictate what goes on in my house.
Correct. So in oh shucks, I can't think of the year. Well, when the letter was written, it was in 18-something. John Hilton, who was the president of the National, wrote that letter and said, we're done. We're independent. We're a sovereign body. We don't answer to you.
And that's what I'm talking about. What happened after that?
After the letter?
John D. Hilton has to go through.
The
same one that point blank wrote to my F English, bro. You said F the National Grand Lodge. Y'all did the same exact shit.
I think there's I think hearing what you say and hearing what that brother is saying is totally two different things. Really, it is. It's
not totally two different things. I'm gonna tell you why. Because the thing is, when the National had separated from, when Hilton had wrote that letter saying they were separated from England, guess what all these contact lodges and all these these color lodges did? They went against the National. They separated and tried to bring it down.
Okay.
So therefore, you to my F England, you might well say F the National because you did it to the National too.
One declared I see what you're saying. Okay, I'm looking at it from both points of views, and I see what you're saying when when the national says, "Hey, we're gonna we good. We're gonna sever our ties with you. We're independent. We're sovereign. National body. This is who we are. We're gonna go and do our business, right?"
Yep.
And then you're saying that those Grand Lodges that left the National Grand Lodge in turn did the same thing, correct?
Same thing.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now I'm tracking. Now, with that being said,
Now the thing is, that's why I said if he gonna tell English, you might well tell the national too. And they was the biggest point blank Grand Lodge in the United States. And every last one of us. And you notice I said us. Because I'm not leaving point blank my district, I'm not leaving us out.
okay.
All of us did it.
Now with that being said, how do you resolve the issue between yourselves with nobody else?
And that's the problem.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. So the question is, how do you resolve?
See, what's wrong with black folks? I'm gonna tell you what's wrong with black folks. Black folks don't like law and order.
You can't say that about everybody.
We always want to fight against law and order. I don't care if it's us, the president, and the rules and regulations. They gonna book.
I'm not gonna put all of us in that same box. I can't do it. I can't swipe everybody and say we're all like that.
Well,
I tell you what. I tell you what. I tell you what. Are you like that? Are you like that?
No, I'm not.
Okay then, and I'm not like that. So we can't take a wide brush.
But the thing is, we're individuals. See,
but to say
the minor don't rule over the major.
But you can't say all. That's inclusive. You could say most. You could say most, but you can't say all, because then all.
When I look at how split up we are right now, when I can see evidence of us split up right now, we gotta stop. That's the problem.
Okay,
we
so
don't want to talk about the elephant in the room and say, "Hey, we are the minor that think all of us need to come back together," but the major of us are still hard-headed.
But that's not true. Let me tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. If you took international, modern free, and PHO, ancient free and accepted Masons, there are more of them, of us, than it is PHA.
But I understand that, but we all
so when you say that, you have to then look at this group of Masons who are non-PHA specifically and say, okay, what's going on over here? And then you work out that, and when you work out that, you're more. I mean, because we're like this now, but when you ball your fist up, you're better. You're more stronger. So
that sounds good.
So in like manner,
look how many splits we got in the combat.
But here's the thing. On top of that, here's the thing. This is where mature people come to the table and sit down and work out their differences, because it's not going to happen overnight. You're driving a aircraft carrier and you're trying to stop because somebody's overboard. You're not going to stop until you get a mile down the ocean. Then you're going to turn around. You may not be able to even find that person. So what we're saying, and what I'm looking at, and I'm hearing what you say, is that sometimes you have to come to your own table, build your own table, sit down and say, okay, we got to work out our differences, and do just that. It's really not complicated. I mean, myself and Montgomery have done the same thing. Myself and other Grand Lodges have done the same thing. Came to the table, sat down, and worked out our differences. So I can't.
I understand that. But the thing is, Miss Hawkins, it's like this. You have those few that you done worked out differences with. Yes, you have. But the ones that still hard-headed, we tired of them.
Well, you know what? You go, look, let's just be honest. You always going to have that. The poor is going to be with. No, because.
This is where the book stop.
You can't.
Sorry, the Point Blank heard my what's name.
You
And I
can't.
ain't gonna say it yet until we get this done. But the book stops this year.
I tell you what. I'll tell you what. Point blank. Is the poor gonna always be with you?
Say what?
Is the poor always going to be with us?
Yes, they are.
Okay, then. Now, the next question: can we solve the problem of the poor?
Yeah, we can.
Do we want to really do it?
No.
Okay, so I'm just.
saying we ain't gonna make no money.
My point is this: is that although I hear what you're saying, and yes, okay, let's hypothetically say the buck stop here. That's not going to stop other individuals from doing whatever they want to do. So you have to set some parameters for those who want to join forces with you. Those are the parameters.
Yeah, but we tired of people using excuse.
It's not an excuse. It's life. It's fact. You know, one thing for sure, we all gonna die. So in knowing that, what you try to do is leave a better organization or a whatever it is to those who are going to follow in your footsteps. And then to say, and I can honestly hear your point about black people not liking law and order. To a certain degree, I can agree to that, but I can't put all of us in the same barrel and say all black people don't like law and order.
Look, we're going to do it like this.
Go ahead.
Thing come around and the National do what they need to do. We're going to see which all y'all that want to be renegades. And we're going to class. And we're going to say to your members, we're going to say, hey, look, they could have came and did it right. But you need to go talk to your the one that's over you, the one that's at the top. He's the problem.
I can actually see that from that point of view.
Once the thing is, you ain't gonna have no excuse when this thing go. You're not gonna have no excuse.
I would say
no
this.
Excuses. Because we're going to make sure there's no excuses out there. We're going to make sure every I is dotted and every T is crossed. You're not going to have no excuse.
I will say this. I'm going to add to what you're saying. The powers that be, and when I say the powers that be, I'm strictly speaking in regards to those grand masters of the various Congresses and the Congresses. Period. Whether it be International, Modern, Free, General Grand Masonic Congress, whomever. I'm talking about that lump of people. Okay? If they're not willing to come to the table, and some are, you have to go with what you have to go with. You have to lead with what you have to lead with. It's not even complicated. If you and I are working on a building and we see that this building is going to be one of the greatest buildings out here, one of the greatest structures, and its foundation and everything is really solid. And you're telling somebody,
hey, Mr. August, this is what I'm waiting on.
Mm-hmm.
After this thing goes through, I'm waiting on the ones to my man. We need to bring unity. I'm gonna bust them wide open.
Well, with that,
I'm gonna call them out.
Well, with that,
well,
with that being said, if this is, but it has to start with those who are in leadership. Let's just be honest. If you ain't the leader, if you ain't the leader and you're just a member and you talking, it ain't gonna happen.
That's true.
So it has to begin with those who are in leadership. You and I can talk. But if the leaders we are following don't do it, then what do you do? What do you do?
And that's when the members got to see that leader is not leading them in the right direction. And it's time to sit him straight the hell down.
Well, and you may say that. But even with that being said, you're still going to have some that probably will follow that person. So what do you do individually?
A leader is only a reflection of his members. So the thing is, if the leader is still up there, then I'm going to look at the that why y'all complaining when point blank y'all can vote for who gonna be grandmaster? You can vote.
All right. Well, you know what? I know what you're talking about, and there's some who may not know what you're talking about, but I do. And my thing is to participate, do my part, as someone who would like to see a cohesiveness amongst the African American diaspora of Freemasonry. But even with that being said, there's going to be a lot of work to be done with the leaders.
It is.
It's
gonna take a lot of work.
So this thing is, you can start a project. I may not be here to see it all happen, but I'm glad to be at the forefront of being at the table, understanding and hearing what you're saying and what we're looking forward to making happen. That's the best way I can put it without really spilling the beans.
Yes, sir. Hey, I'm gonna get off here, Miss past grandmaster. I'm gonna let somebody else come up. I don't want to hog this face.
Well, you need to hurry up because I only got a little time. You've been on here 25 minutes.
That's too long. Hey. All right, I'm gonna let the next one come up. They try to come up.
All right, take care. Be safe.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, peace. Boy, I tell you, point blank, boy, he speaks with a lot of passion, a lot of energy, and he and I can go all night. Oh my God, we can go all night. And he be screaming at me, but it'd be his passion. And hey, I'm all right with that. I'm all right with it. So look, if anybody else want to call in real quick, I got a few minutes left. We can continue the conversation afterwards. I'm going to have to close it down, but definitely I'm looking forward to everybody having a great weekend. Tomorrow evening, sometimes I have a sister who's coming on. She's a past wishful master of George Washington Union Lodge here in California. We're going to be talking, and it's going to be interesting. I love her dearly. We have actually had plenty of conversation. I met her father, who's a sovereign grand commander and of the Supreme Council. Man, it's going to be a beautiful conversation. So definitely join us tomorrow here about 4 o'clock. No, 4 or 5. Join us tomorrow here at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right? And we're going to continue the journey. Peace and be well until next time. I'm out.